Hi, my name is Michael and I'm 18 years old. I grew up in the blushful comfort of my hometown Regensburg, right in Bavaria, Germany. Even though I had a pretty good time there, I know something in myself always wanted to leave those ancient buildings and then live in streets to see other parts of the earth. After finishing high school in May 2014, I was finally able to do so. Instead of studying immediately, I took a gap year and traveled to New Zealand. Many people ask me if it was hard to leave my friends and my family just like that. I don't want to lie. In the beginning it was, but only until I realized that another family had given me a warm welcome. I became a backpacker. You see, we backpackers are no tourists. Hell no. We are not searching for all-inclusive vacation, beaches and sun, but for cheap food, great experiences, and our personalities. We'll come to that later, I don't want to give too much away. But before taking you with me on my journey, you first have to learn something about our destination. The first humans to arrive in New Zealand were the Maori. After crossing the Pacific Ocean from Polynesia, they settled down at a place called Taipa, which means first touch. As New Zealand has a very fertile ground, they were able to spread all over the country within the next few centuries. They first encountered Western culture when a couple of European explorers arrived in the 16 and 1700s. After that, countless Western settlers immigrated to New Zealand and provoked the Maori into declaring war on Britain. A couple of years later, they were defeated and lost big parts of their rightful home to the British Crown. However, today there is peace again, and New Zealand is a country built on tolerance and biculturalism. It does not depend exclusively on its farming industry anymore, as it has an extremely successful movie industry and makes a lot of money through tourism. And this is how everything began for us backpackers. I spent 6 months in New Zealand while doing work and travel. As I already said, that's not a type of modern tourism. It's a lifestyle. A lifestyle that possibly couldn't be more different from the one you're living at home. As you're traveling on a budget, you'll only be able to afford dorm rooms. That means you have to get used to being surrounded by 3 to 7 people at every moment of your day. This loss of privacy can be really annoying, especially if someone's weird sleeping habits keep you awake until 4 a.m. Actually, you have to accept sharing almost everything with a lot of people. You're simply not allowed to expect any kind of luxury, even in terms of food. You neither have the money nor the motivation to cook something special most of the time. That's why a backpacker's menu options are usually quite boring. You will start to miss the diverse and healthy dishes from home. But the things you'll miss the most are regularity, your friends, and all the comfort you had back home. Yet, there is a way how you can replace all of that. If you want to save money, you have to stop traveling and start working for a couple of weeks. During that time, I shared my room with a Swedish guy who is traveling since almost 7 years. He said something pretty interesting about working as a backpacker.
It's pretty great. It's different from working at home, I believe, because you work with a goal in mind and you know that it's only short term you're working towards traveling and getting a bigger budget to travel and experience things. So, and you also get to try a lot of different types of work, which I never normally would. So for me, it means a lot. It's a great experience for me.
And this is true. The only thing that keeps you motivated during work is the thought of being able to travel again. The most common job for backpackers is fruit picking on a farm, and you'll need a lot of motivation to go through that as it's a really exhausting kind of work. You'll be exposed to the rapidly changing Pacific weather conditions, and bending over all day will make you suffer through the back pains of a lifetime. But in return, you'll be able to spend a couple of weeks with the same people. And this is really great because if you're traveling without a long-term partner, you never really come close with someone else. That's why it's nice to see how coworkers and roommates become good friends of yours. Due to your working hours, you'll get back some regularity, and all in all, your accommodation will start to feel just like home. But here's the thing about traveling. In my opinion, the most important part of it is not being at home. Many people aren't able to get used to that though. They aren't ready to give up their former lifestyle, and that's why they surround themselves with backpackers of their own age and nationality instead of talking to someone from a different culture. You see, almost everyone who starts traveling wants to change and find out about his or her personality. But you will only be able to change if you're really willing to do so. In order to find yourself, you first have to lose yourself. And this isn't possible if you continue to live the same life you had back home. So stop talking to people who are just like you. It's more interesting to discuss with someone who is older and smaller than you. Stop saying no to things you've never tried before, because if you really want to experience something special, you have to leave your comfort zone. That's the place where the magic happens. And learn the difference between the time to party and the time to hike. Beer is a great way to strengthen a beginning friendship, but sometimes it's better to come close to each other in an infinite landscape than in a small club. Jane Campbell is a famous director from New Zealand. She understood this and was using her home as the setting for one of the most intimate and disturbing dramas in modern television, called Top of the Lake. Her characters are getting lost, surrounded by the overwhelming power of the mountain range on the South Island. I know this feeling. Wandering between those massive rocks and glaciers makes you feel like an ant. I know many people would disagree with me. They prefer to make the trip one big party. But please think about this. You'll never have so much freedom in your entire life again. Use it. Make it define your trip. Become truly independent and make as much friends as you can. I promise you, there's nothing better than to remember all those friendly faces, funny evenings, and great adventures you had with everyone. Make the most of your journey, and consider this. Beauty doesn't ask for attention. That's why the greatest moments of your trip won't be the loud ones, but the quiet ones. Don't go partying in a disco and enjoy those moments instead. They will be yours forever and make your trip truly unforgettable. Here's a simple question. Why did you decide to start traveling?
I decided to start traveling because I wanted to see what was out there, outside of my hometown and what I know and what I've grown up to know. So, yeah, basically, I wanted an adventure.
In the first place, I think I started traveling because I wanted to see other countries and explore other cultures. And now I'm traveling because I like the freedom. I like to see new things, to learn new things, and I like the freedom of moving around every second day and just, yeah, also just being on a bus or train or walking, walking through landscapes I've never seen before. I just really like the feeling of that, not having to stay in a place.
Well, reasons for starting to travel are quite simple. But don't ask me whether you should do it or not. You have to ask yourself. Of course your heart will beat against your chest in fear when you are leaving home for the first time. But do you have enough courage to take the first step anyway? Are you okay with spending a long time separated from your friends and your family? Are you ready to live on your own? If you're able to answer those questions, there's no reason why you shouldn't start traveling. There's nothing worse in life than regret. So if you feel ready to do it, do it. It will be hard to get used to everything in the beginning, but in the end you'll love it. If you don't believe me, here's another simple question. Do you like being a backpacker?
Yeah, I love being a backpacker. To me, it is complete freedom. Just do whatever you feel like.
Yeah, backpacking is the best way to travel.
As you can see, even if there are a lot of struggles you have to face along your way, they will be outnumbered by the many marvelous moments you'll witness. And then you'll eventually understand what traveling really means. If you do, there won't be any struggles anymore. Every new person you meet will be a possible best friend. Every hostel will start to feel like home, and you won't need anything to be happy but yourself. You will know the true meaning of freedom, but this will make it even harder to say goodbye to all of that and to return back home. It feels like putting yourself in jail again. Of course it will be nice to be back, but it will never be the way it was. Time stands still at home. Everything will have stayed the same, but you won't. The wonderful people you met, the adventures you had with them, and the breathtaking nature you saw will turn your world upside down. That means the way you look at your life will have changed forever. And if you know this feeling, you've been bit by the travel bug, like I was. And then, there's only one question left for you to answer. Where to go next?